I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News
On Now You Know.
Episode 16.
Wow. So what's our first story today?
So our first story is that Model X has gotten a new update. It includes the Model Xmas Easter egg.
Cool. So what are some of the things that are in that update?
So one of the cool features is that there are new equalizer bands on the audio system. So there's 5 now instead of 3. You can also summon your car with the fob, which is something you couldn't do before.
Yep.
And there's some other great goodies. You should check out our video on that, which is going to talk about all that and more, including the Mars Easter egg.
Oh wow. So check that out. Let's put a box right here. If you click that, you can watch that video. Awesome. So there's another cool Easter egg in this update for people with Model X's. So that is the, I guess you'd call it the Model Xmas extravaganza.
Yeah, and should we tell people though what an Easter egg is first for people who don't have the car yet?
So an Easter egg generally in any kind of software is something that is hidden away by the developers for people to find. So in this case, since it's not just a piece of software, but it's also a car, you're able to, for the Mars Easter egg, you're able to look at Mars, and for the Model Xmas update Easter egg, you can have your car do a whole show for you. It's spectacular. And if you want to see that, check out this video right here.
It's definitely worth it.
Click it. It's so cool. And then come back and we'll tell you the rest of the news.
So what's our next story?
So the next story would be that Montreal has taken delivery of 3 new all-electric buses that are made in Canada.
Really?
Yes. So these are 100% electric buses.
Wow.
And they're from Nova Bus. They have 3 right now.
Okay.
They are testing them out basically from January to March.
Okay.
And they just want to see how well it can do. They have recharging points on top of the buses.
Oh, that's smart.
So it looks like from the picture that when it's at the bus stop, it's going to be charging.
That's awesome.
While it's waiting for its.
So no one has to hop out and plug it in and then hop back out.
Right. It just drives right under it.
That's really smart.
And it charges. So
that's really cool.
That looks really cool.
Now it's in Canada, so it's cold. You need to heat the bus. Is that all electric too?
So that is a hybrid diesel electric heating unit. Okay. And I've seen a similar thing when we were in, I believe,
Concord.
The Concord EV show. There was a school bus there which had a very similar heating system. So the heating system will use some diesel because it's a lot of energy to heat a bus like that. Which, I would have loved it to be just batteries, but you get what you get, I suppose. Yeah,
the buses are going to be doing this test from January till March. It's a 10.6 kilometer long bus route in one direction. And I guess that if that works out well, they will then start taking on 3,000 passengers a day.
Yep.
And they'll do that starting probably in late March, early April.
So for any of our Montreal viewers, this is the Monk line. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure if you live in Montreal, you know what that means.
Yeah.
So what's the next story?
Next story is another Elon tweet. He did this on Christmas Eve. Someone tweeted to him, I'll play the part of Fred Lambert, who was with Electric, and he tweeted to Elon, and Elon got right back to him. So here goes. Fred said, Elon, any update on the plan to install solar arrays at the Supercharger stations?
Elon replied, Fred, there are some installed already, but full rollout really needs Supercharger version 3 and PowerPack version 2. Plus, Solar City pieces are now in place.
So then Fred got back to him and said, Supercharger version 3. Now I'm curious, what power output are we talking about? 350 kilowatts?
And so then Elon responds, Fred, a mere 350 kilowatts? What are you referring to, a children's toy? So
that's cool.
That's really cool.
What does that mean?
That means...
So wait, we're talking about version 3 of supercharging.
Right.
What is version 3 of supercharging? What are we at now?
Right now we're at version 2.
Okay, and what is that outputting?
Right now it's around 150 kilowatts.
Okay, and so Fred was talking about, are we going to see 350 kilowatts? And Elon basically said,
that's
nothing.
Child's play.
So I do want to point out that in 2012, JT Straubel, who is the CTO of Tesla, said in a talk that he would hope that someday, not within a year, but maybe further out, that they could get to 5 to 10 minute supercharging times.
Wow.
That was in 2012. We're now ending out 2016. Maybe version 3 of supercharging is going to get to this level. Now, this level that we're talking about, if you really wanted to get to 5 to 10 minutes of supercharging, we did a little math. It looks like you're talking about 700 kilowatts.
Wow.
So that's, 4 or 5 times what the current superchargers output.
That's crazy.
And it seems from what Elon's tweeting here that he's saying 350 is child's play. So
it could be.
It could be
700. I mean, and anywhere above 150, which is what we're at now, which is the peak right now, would be huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
so these tweets are just really cool.
oh my
Keep
gosh,
them coming.
I love these tweets. All right, so there's a very small French village in France, and it just...
What's the name of the village?
Oh, well, it's called...
Roadway.
Wow. So what's going on in this village?
So they're installing a solar roadway.
A solar freaking roadway?
Not a solar freaking roadway,
Oh.
but it is a road, and it has solar on it.
Okay.
So
Tell me more. I am intrigued.
So basically for 1 kilometer,
Okay.
one side of this 2-lane road has solar panels on it.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's a lot of solar panels.
How much is that?
So that is 2,800 square meters, or roughly 30,000 square feet. Basically, if you want to think about that in a more manageable term, that's like half an American football field.
Wow.
So that's a lot of solar. So it should be producing about 790 kilowatt hours per day.
Wait, that's like 10 Teslas a day.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty good, especially for 1 kilometer. It's not that far and only 1/2 of the road. So I think that's a pretty cool...
I'm excited because I love solar roadways. I love the idea, and this is going to be a test of that idea to see if it works. I mean, it doesn't have all the features that solar frickin' roadways would have, which would be LEDs
in
implanted,
the road,
right? But this is
heated things. But this is, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. I'm definitely excited to hear about it.
That's cool. France has a total of 1 million kilometers of roads, and this will be 1 kilometer, so that's 1/1,000,000th of the roads in France.
Great.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, huh?
So the next story is a Consumer Reports survey, which just came out, that ranks Tesla as the #1 in customer satisfaction.
Wow, that's remarkable.
You know what is also remarkable about that?
What?
Look, take a look at this chart. So Tesla ranks 91%. That means that 91% of owners who responded definitely yes to the question of whether they would buy the same vehicle if they had to do it all over again.
Wow.
So 91% of Tesla owners said, yep, I would do it again. Now the next closest, who do you think the next closest manufacturer would be?
I don't know, like Magic Carpets?
No, we're talking... It's Porsche.
Oh, okay.
And they're at 84%.
Wow.
So a comparably priced car company, and they're, up there with Tesla, but they're at 84%. Who do you think the lowest was?
It would have to be someone that just is like the antithesis of Tesla.
Yeah. So think of a CEO who's always trash-talking Elon. Remember Sergio Marchionne, the CEO of Fiat?
Yeah.
Well, Fiat ranks the lowest on the CR list.
Wow.
At 54%.
Do you know how many vehicles I would give that rating? The definitely would buy again?
No.
Of the vehicles that I've owned?
No.
0. 0 of the vehicles that I've previously owned.
Yeah, this is one of the first times that that CR could rank them, because they need to rank 2 models from a company, and before the Model X came out, there weren't 2 models. There was only the S, really.
Right.
I mean, the Roadster didn't count; it didn't make enough. So
Right.
you have to have enough vehicles on the road.
Interesting.
So what's the next story?
So the next story, I think it's just important that we keep bringing up these kinds of stories.
Okay.
So this was a head-on collision with a Model S and a Soviet-era crane truck.
Wait, where was this?
This was in Estonia.
Oh,
This is in Tallinn, Estonia, with a 20,000-pound Soviet-era truck.
really?
Yes, this thing is, I mean, it's basically a tank on wheels.
These pictures are really crazy.
Yeah.
So what happened? The car went kind of under the truck, like, because the bumpers don't line up.
Right, so the truck was apparently going the fastest of the 2 cars. The Tesla was just sort of moving slowly in traffic, and the truck came out of nowhere. If it weren't for the large crumple zone on the front of this car, on the front of the Model S, the driver would be dead. He had an injured knee, but he said that he felt, he wasn't injured life-threateningly.
The other thing I want to point out is you said crumple zone, but the other thing is there's no big ICE engine in the front of the Model S, which would have normally been shoved into the passenger compartment.
Usually the engine block is a huge factor in a collision. And when I say crumple zone, I mean you get all of that area as a crumple zone.
Right.
It looks like this was sort of a non-standard collision, and the hood kind of took a lot of the damage, and the axle seemed to be completely broken.
So I mean, Teslas are safe cars?
Teslas, let me just reiterate this. Teslas are the safest cars on the road.
Wow. Is this just your word for it?
No. They get 5 stars. Both of them. Model S and the Model X.
From the National Highway Institute, yeah.
And they would get higher scores, it's just that they don't even have high enough scores to give them.
Right, I mean, they've broken testing equipment before when they tried to
to try and crush the car, they broke it.
Right.
I mean, these cars are safe.
Wow.
Are there any other safety stories related to Tesla that we could talk about?
Well, Tesla did test out their new power packs, and they tried to light them on fire.
Oh, because lithium-ion batteries, those things are just waiting to explode.
You would think so, but the way that they've engineered these power packs, so they did 2 tests. One is they tried to get an individual pod to fail and to overheat and to run away, as it's called.
And so what do you mean a pod?
So the power pack is made up of many different pods, we'll say, packs of batteries. So what Tesla did was they got one of them to fail by putting in a heater into it and overheating the pack.
Okay.
And then they got it to that point, and they wanted to see if it would just run away and take the whole power pack with it.
Okay. So did it blow up?
Nope.
It didn't blow up?
It was a pretty boring test. It just basically, that pack failed, overheated, the rest of it kept on working, end of test.
Wow, so the 15 other packs that were in there, they were fine?
They were fine.
Wow, that's so cool. So what was the other test?
The other test, since that didn't work, was they took a propane gas heater, put it next to the power pack.
So with like open flames?
Open flames, and just blew flames at it for, I think it was like half an hour, till they finally got something going inside.
Right.
And then they waited to see what happened. And it took 3.5 hours before the power packs, ignited and put themselves out. But basically there was some open flames, but it never got to the point where it blew up.
Right. So I do want to point out that it took 45 minutes of exposed flames for the power pack to catch fire, for any of them to start burning, and for the cells to start failing. And then it took another 2 hours of basically this sort of low flame for it to sort of burn itself out, but at no point were cells exploding out of the container, because basically the container is a nice steel thing that doesn't allow for stuff to, even if stuff was shooting around on the inside, nothing's going to come out. And I think that this is really important, because I mean, if you had a gas tank, a big diesel tank or something like that,
and something went wrong,
it's going to explode. You don't design gas tanks to be able to withstand the explosion force of all of the contents that it would hold.
Right. And even though this eventually flames did erupt from it, it gave you plenty of time to get firefighters onto the scene and to evacuate people from the scene.
Absolutely.
Unlike, if you have diesel fuel or nuclear power plants where things would just explode and you have to evacuate everyone.
Right.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Tesla Time News. We really do appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to everybody out there. As you can see, we're filming this at Christmas time because it's Christmas Day.
Yeah, I still haven't taken the tags off my shirts yet. I should do that.
And you're wearing your new Tesla jacket.
I'm wearing my new Tesla jacket. How about that?
That's awesome. We do encourage you to check out our Patreon page and see we're giving some promotional things there to people, because we really do appreciate those who support us on Patreon. It really helps us to put on these episodes.
Right.
And we would encourage you to subscribe and to like our episodes.
Right. Liking our videos is huge. It gives us a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, they've been changing the algorithms.
More people will see this video if you like it. So
they know that liking means more than just watching.
Right. So if you put a like down below, maybe someone else will see this that you don't necessarily have to share to
And
exactly.
please comment below if you have ideas for stories. If you've heard about something in the news, we oftentimes go to our contributors to find ideas that we normally wouldn't find. So please post those below. If you have any feedback or comments about the show, we'd love to read it. And when you do comment, we are going to pick one or two of the best ones that we find are most interesting each week and talk about them at the end of our episode. So what do we got this week?
So this comment comes to us from Kareem Benalal.
What does he say?
He says, I think all electric car manufacturers should give a ton of money to Tesla to use their superchargers instead of building different supercharging networks.
I think that's a pretty good idea, because think about this. If Chevy Bolt, for instance, could use the Tesla charger supercharger network tomorrow,
Right.
then more people would think about getting a Bolt. And so, because they could then drive across country or drive to grandma's house without worrying about it. And that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good thing, but there would be one negative aspect to that, which would be that Tesla would then become the monopoly of superchargers, and they wouldn't feel the need to be competitive and the need to come up with supercharging version 3. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but even without competition right now, there's no other supercharger network that I know of. They're already trying to improve it all the time. That's just the way Elon is.
True, but I think that there are those, they're thinking of putting in 400 kilowatt charging stations throughout Europe. I think that must, at some point make you say, gee, we better make sure that we have the best stuff if we want to stay the best company.
But wouldn't it be great if they were getting tons of money, like he says, like Kareem says, from other companies, so then they would just be able to invest into more and more superchargers across the country?
No, I mean, I think that would be great. I just think, you could have different superchargers and maybe you'd have different adapters or...
Yeah, but wouldn't it be nice to have one standard, like if it became the Tesla standard?
No,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Well, what if it was more of a conglomeration? If everyone said, we're going to make one standard thing, it's going to work for everyone.
But then they'd have to have meetings and monthly committee meetings.
Sure,
This way,
yeah.
Elon just goes, oh, I can solve that problem. Tweet, done.
It's true. No, it definitely seems like Tesla is the leader on this. So.
Yeah, I like Kareem's idea. I think that could really speed things up.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's just
do it.
Do it.
Just do it. Thank you so much for watching.
Now you know.
Well, let's get down to the news.
All right. So what's the first news item?
So there was the MerryXmas update. So for those of us who drive Model X's,
There's a mouse in the
there's
house.
got to be a mouse. Should we take care of it?
I'm hoping we can get through with it and just ignore it. Now that we know it's there.
Okay.
Okay.